our peers through the various presentations that they give on how to be an effective communicator. So their presentations on topics are given by our teachers. Now, and because of their efforts, and not to forget Parvez sir and Faraz sir, who have introduced such a nice concept of learning by doing. This week, I, along with my mate Waris Hussain, would take a step further and would have a look on how to use this communication for our personal and professional gains. Through the review paper, The Necessary Art of Persuasion by J.A. Conger. Now, before starting, let me ask you guys, what do you think is manipulation and persuasion the same? If do you think so, please leave a message in the chat box as a simple yes or no. Without wasting much of our time, let's start with the presentation. Uh, Persuasion. What persuasion really is? Now, persuasion is defined as the act of trying to convince someone of something or to do something. But haven't we all been doing the same in our lives lately? For example, how we like sometimes ask or even beg parents for something that we need, or how we convince our classmates to help out in our assignments. But if we are already doing that, then what's the need to learn so? Basically, persuasion is not that just easy, and it has now become a necessity in the business world. Persuasion is the language spoken by the leaders of the business world in today's era. And some might see persuasion as an art which are performed by leaders in manipulating others to buy their products, or sometimes used as a manipulation or even cajoling. But persuasion isn't the same. What it can really do is phenomenal. A skilled persuader, a skilled persuader can use to change one's belief, attitude, or even behavior. We all know Gandhiji and how he convinced millions to follow the path of ahimsa and share a common goal of defying the Brits only through persuasion, not by manipulation or cajoling with others in a such diverse country like India. Uh, in the context of the business world, persuasion has become a necessity. In the context of the business world, persuasion has become a necessity because of the changing workforce through globalization and how the new the new era of workforce don't just submit to the traditional hierarchy and now seeks the credibility from someone of what skills they possess. It has also changed a lot due to the presence of the millennials who have changed their attitude on what to do of why to do instead of what to do. There are some basic elements of persuasion that one can look out for while looking out for an effective persuader. First and foremost, one should be aware of the audience opinion, concerns, and objective. For example, our professors know us very well that the majority of students take online class just for grades, and that's why they have allotted marks to it. And let's be honest, if it would have been done voluntarily, a lot of us would have skipped it. Now, similarly, similarly, preparing proper arguments and matching with the EQ of audience is also important. And you could easily point out these traits in an effective persuader. One with an open mind to hear out others, putting up their facts justly, and coming up on a shared solution instead of forcing one's belief could end up on a common goal easily. Now, I would wrap up quick on my part. That is, that what we have learned is persuasion, its necessity, its element, and how an effective persuader stands out. Now, to carry out this learning further, take over. Varis?
Thank you, everyone, and good morning, everyone. Thank you, Osama, and good morning, everyone. So, as Osama has explained very well, that what is persuasion and how it is work. In the second part, we're going to know that how we can perform this alchemy of the persuasion. But before we talk about that, what is persuasion, how we can become an effective persuader, let's talk about what are the things we should avoid, or as the article suggests, 4 ways not to pursue. So in that, the first one is that many times it happens when we try to present our idea in front of our colleagues or seniors. They try to oppose it because of their prior experience or their knowledge or probably their histories. But it can be avoided by if we just do not give them a clear target so they can grab their hands on it. And the second one is that the persuasion is a process of give and take. It's not a one-way street. So, and compromise is one of the essential part of the persuasion. And it can make a persuasion constructive. But managers perceive the compromise as surrender. They should be avoided. And the third one is that though the great argument matters, they matter a lot. But we should not forget that the argument attracts our people. And we are not trying to prove ourselves right. We are here to persuade them. And in order to persuade them, we have to keep in mind what their emotional level, and we have to react to it. Then the fourth one is that for many of the people perceive, because it's happened in our daily life, when we go somewhere start persuading, either we take it or not, that's it. But in the business environment, it's not like that. The process of the persuasion takes weeks, even months before we get ready for the persuasion. So when we are persuading someone, we have to plan it, then we start it. Then after we know that what should not be do, we can move on to what should be learned. Then next slide. So, okay. So as we know that the article suggests that it is the art, the necessary art of the persuasion. So we know that art can be learned, and there is no any hard and fast rule which we need to follow. But there are some things which we need to keep in mind. As we know that what we learned in the previous classes, that in the element of the effective communication, it's more like that as we see it. The credibility of the establishing credibility, more of like ethos, and the ethos, pathos, and logos, they are there. But there are one more thing which is there, that the common ground. Next. Okay. So in the first part, and the first thing which we are going to learn is the credibility. That is one of the first challenges which we need to overcome when we are pursuing. So credibility has two elements. First, there is the expertise. Second is the relationship. So expertise can be built by if we know the complexities and the insight of the idea, and by if we support our idea by the outside information or by some expert. And that relationship does not build in one day. It basically based on your prior experience, on your prior performance. One of the examples which is very famous we can give, that Elon Musk, how he proved himself as a credible businessman and a credible entrepreneur. But what happens that he was able to persuade people to invest in cryptocurrency, which is really good because of his credibility. People believed in him because he was saying it. The next thing is the framing of the common ground. So next. Okay. So the framing of the common ground, it means that when you are pitching your idea, you should know that what is the concern of our targeted audience and what do they need and want specifically. So we need to show them and highlight what are the things in our idea so they can attach to our idea. And we cannot assume all we want in one go. So during the process of the persuasion, we learn over a period of time. So we revisit our ideas, we revisit our plans and make them so that we can pursue them. The third one is providing evidence. Providing evidence is one of the next slide. Okay, so the third one is the providing evidence. It's one of the important part of the process of the persuasion. When we are providing evidence, we just back up with our persuasion with the data or the information. We just make it so that people can persuade. But is it possible that we can persuade someone by just me giving them data? No, it's not possible. As we learned in the previous slide, as the Claro suggests, that by the me knowledge does not give you the art of persuasion. In one of the, if you could recall that one of the previous article which we are telling you, which is really good, and that tells us that stories, when we are sharing the information with the help of the stories, they pass through long and people perceive it in a very good way. So that's when we are giving our data, try to give them in a by using a specific analogy, so people like keep in mind. The fourth one is that connecting emotionally, and I personally feel it's one of the important parts. As I've told you earlier, that it's not something that we are trying to prove ourselves, right? We are trying to connect them and we are trying to persuade. So connecting emotionally is one of the important parts, and one of the examples which we can give, which was given to us in our last semester in our you know, in our classes by Parvez sir, that how was that Sir Sayyid was able to persuade Hindi Mia to come to the idea of the Aligarh Muslim University. So they have the different opinion and the idea, but what brought them on the same page were not their knowledge or what the idea, but brought them on the same page what they closely they were, closely they were connected how deeply they want to do something for their community, and this is what they brought them to closer. So that's one of the things that taught you that make your persuasion come alive. So now by concluding it, I want to conclude it for you. So when you're persuading, you have to come here, keep in mind four things. That when you're persuading, plan your persuasion. Second, that connect them emotionally, provide your evidence, and then you have your team. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Aris and Osama. Can we move on to the next presentation?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, are the slides visible?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just. Yeah. Okay. So all seems good. You can start, Lavnesh.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Respected sir and all my dear friends. Today, I, Lavnesh Kumar Agarwal, along with my friend Shiraz Ahmed, are here to present on the topic Harnessing the Science of Persuasion, given by Dr. Robert B. Cialdini. Before we begin the topic, let us just first understand what does the term persuasion actually means and what is its importance. As we all have already heard our friend Osama and Varis, who already told us about a lot of things about persuasion. I'll just try to begin with the very simple definition of persuasion. Persuasion is an art of influencing a person's behavior, attitude, intentions, motivations, or maybe belief. There are a handful of lucky people who know how to capture their audience and convert their opposition. These persuaders have their own way with people. What could be a better example of talking about? What could be a better example other than the Apple founder Steve Jobs, who mastered the skill of persuasion, which he clearly demonstrated in the functioning as a CEO of his company, and also in the iPhone launch of 2007. Can you please change the slide?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the importance of persuasion. Persuasion skills exert far greater influence over others' behavior than formal structures do. It is true that no leaders can succeed without mastering the art of persuasion. The most influential people we know, we have been able to persuade their audience to think and act in a very specific way. But there is a hard science involved in acquiring and mastering this skill. So here we are today to discuss with you the 6 principles of persuasion given by Dr. Robert Cialdini, that you can use to win your friends and influence people. These are, as you can see, the 6 principles of persuasion are listed here: liking, reciprocity, social proof, commitment, authority, and scarcity. Now let us have a look at each of them one by one. Let us begin with the principle of liking. In a very simple words, we can say that people like those who like them. It is true that the more we like someone, the more we are persuaded by them. The two very important components of liking are similarity and trait. Similarity brings people together. Similarity can be in terms of age, religion, political belief, maybe, or social belief. We all have observed that in the university campus, the students that belong to same geographical area tends to form group together. They have automatically developed a liking towards liking for each other. The second component of liking is praise. Praising a positive remark about someone's another person's trait, attitude, or maybe his performance generates liking in return towards a person offering the praise. For example, suppose you are a manager of a company. There is an employee under you that shows extreme dislike towards you. In such a case, what you can do is admire his work, his performance, his traits, and offer him some praise. He will surely let go of that negative attitude towards you. One of the classic example to understand this principle is a Tupperware party. The Tupperware a demonstration party for Tupperware products, which is usually hosted by a woman who invites her friends, relatives, or neighbors to her home. The host's affection towards her guest influences them to buy from her. The liking towards their host has a huge impact on their purchase decision. In a business or managers also in a business organization also as managers we can use similarities and praise to create bond with our fellow colleagues, juniors, and the head of other various departments. Moving on to the second principle, the principle of reciprocity. Stating in very simple words, people repay in kind. The principle of persuasion states that as we as human beings are wired to return favors and pay back our debts. That is to treat others the way they have treated us. If you have ever caught yourself smiling at someone just because he or she smiled at you first, you already know how this principle works. In an interview with INC magazine, the purchase managers admitted that after receiving gifts from a supplier, they are willing to purchase products that otherwise they would have declined. For example, let us take a situation. Suppose you and both are a manager of a company in various different departments. I am short. I need one more person in my team to get the work done on the time. So you decide to lend me a member to help me out. So you significantly improve your chances of getting help when you will need it. All of this action simply says that I have stretched your back. Now it's time you stretch mine. Moving on to our third principle, the principle of social. Can you please? Shiraz, can you change
Is it back online?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry for that.
The principle of social proof. People follow the lead of similar others. We as social creatures rely heavily on the people around us, how to think, act, and behave. For example, if a restaurant is always full of people, we are definitely gonna give it a try. If our co-workers are related in any organization, we are also likely to do the same. The lesson we as future managers can learn here is that persuasion can be extremely effective when it comes from our peers, not from our superiors. For example, testimonials from satisfied customer also works best when our prospective customer and the satisfied customer share some similar circumstances. Imagine that you are a manager of a company and you are trying to adopt a new policy in your organization. A group of your subordinates start resisting to the policy. Now, rather than trying to convince such employees who are resisting to the policy, what you can do is to try the employees who already support your initiative to come and speak in its favor in a meeting, because that stands a better much chance to convince the group who initially was resisting the business policy, which clearly demonstrated that persuasion is best exerted horizontally rather than vertically. Now, I would like to invite my friend Shiraz Ahmed to discuss with us the other three principles of persuasion.
Thank you, Lavnesh, for bringing us up till the half of the presentation. Now, I'd like to continue from the next principle, which is consistency. Liking is a powerful force, but the work of persuasion involves more than simply making feel warmly towards you, your idea, or your product. People need not only to like you, but to feel committed to what you want them to do. Good turns are one reliable way to make people feel obligated to you. Another is to win public commitment from them. There's a strong empirical evidence to show that choices made actively, one that are spoken loud or written down or otherwise made explicit, is considerably more likely to direct someone's future conduct than the same choice left unspoken. Writing in 1996 in the Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin, Delia Cioffi and Randy Gardner described an experiment in which college students in one group were asked to fill out a printed form saying they wish to volunteer for an AIDS education project in public schools. Students in another group volunteered for the same project by leaving a blank form stating that they didn't want to participate. A few days later, when the volunteered report for duty, 74% of those who showed up were students from the group that signaled their commitment by filling out the form. So let us look how the consistency principle works in real life. The clear example we all see are salespeople often start small and build big. That proves to be very effective as long as the larger request is consistent with the smaller request. We also see companies tend to encourage public commitment like testimonials on their website and reviews that we all see on Amazon and Flipkart. So now the fifth principle, which is authority. 2000 years ago, the Roman poet Virgil offered this simple counsel to those seeking to choose correctly. Believe an expert. That may or may not be a good advice, but as a description of what people actually do, it can't be beaten. For instance, when the news media present an acknowledged expert's view on a topic, the effect on public opinion is dramatic. A single expert opinion story in the New York Times is associated with 2% shift in public opinion nationwide, according to a 1993 study describing public opinion quarterly. And researchers writing in the American Political Science Review in 1987 found that when experts' views were aired on national television, public opinion shifted as much as 4%. So what really is at play here? A cynic might argue that these findings only illustrate the docile submissiveness of the public. But a fairer explanation might be that amid the teeming complexity of contemporary life, a well-selected expert offers a valuable and efficient shortcut to good decisions. Indeed, some questions, be they legal, financial, medical, or technological, require so much specialized knowledge to answer. We have no choice but to rely on experts. Now, let us come to the examples of principle of authority. We can see dentists in a toothpaste ad stating 99% of all dentists use this Colgate toothpaste themselves and recommend it to others as well. So displaying items such as therapist award, certification, and other credentials make the patient more likely to follow the therapist's advice. Now let us come to the sixth and final principle of the persuasion, which is scarcity. So study after study shows that items and opportunities are seen to be more valuable as they become less available. That is tremendously a useful piece of information for managers. They can harness the scarcity principle with the organizational equivalents of time limited supply, and one-of-a-kind offers. Honestly informing a co-worker of a closing window of opportunity, the chance to get to the boss's ear before they leave for an extended vacation, perhaps mobilize action dramatically. The persuasive power of exclusivity can be harnessed by any manager who comes into possession of information that's not broadly available and that supports an idea or initiative he or she would like the organization to adapt. The next time that kind of information crosses your desk, round up your organization's key players. The information itself may seem dull, but exclusivity will give it a special sheen. So now let us come to the examples of scarcity. So we are always seeing the limited offers on website, and last one, limited stocks available. These are all the real life examples of principle of scarcity. Now, now the six principles are done. Let us sum it up all. Now, there's nothing obtuse or obscure about these six principles of persuasion. Indeed, they are neatly coded. They neatly of the ways people evaluate information and form decisions. As a result, the principles are easy for most people to grasp, even those with no formal education in psychology or human behavior. First, Dr. Siagni makes two important points at the last of his article. First, although the six principles and their applications can be discussed separately for the sake of clarity, they should be applied in combination to compound their impact. For instance, good managers use informal social conversations to establish their credentials. But that conversation also offers an opportunity to gain information as well as convey it, while they are showing to the dinner companion that they have the skills and experience that business problems demand. They can also learn about their company's background, likes and dislikes, information that will help them locate general similarities and give sincere compliments. By letting their expertise surface and establish rapport, it double your persuasive power. And if they succeed in bringing your dinner partner on the board, they may encourage other people to sign on as well, thanks to persuasive power of social sciences. The other critical point that Dr. Stiadny emphasizes is that the rules of ethics apply to the science of social influence just as they do to other technologies. Not only is it ethically wrong to trick or trap others into assent, it is also ill-advised in practical terms. Dishonest or high-pressure tactics only work in short term. Their long-term effects are malignant, especially within an organization which can't function properly without a bedrock level of trust and cooperation. Now, that will be the end of the presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them.
Okay, thank you, Shiraz and Lavneesh. Before we begin the analysis and feedback, may I request Shiraz?
Yes, sir.
And he may team up with Osama. But finally, we expect Shiraz to submit the feedback that we shall discuss, which I will offer and your friends will offer. So just keep a record of that.
Okay.
Varis and Lavneesh, I request you to kindly share with us the key points in the content of the article.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So in around 150 words, we share gist of the content which you have shared.
Sure.
So, submitted her feedback yesterday. Is she present in the class? And Faizan? So now let us begin with the feedback for this round. Let us ask the participants first. One clarification, Osama.
Yes, sir.
You have.
That's why I had to log in.
So, Osama, first, what is your feedback?
Sir, I guess that to be honest, I didn't practice on my delivery part due to some emergencies lately, and I guess that I could improve it a bit, and also like I could come up with more examples and make it more inciting. That's what I think. So.
Okay, so overall, you feel that level of preparation, especially in terms of rehearsals.
Yes, sir.
That could have been done.
Yes, sir.
I mean, a few more rehearsals would have improved your performance.
Yes.
Okay. That's fair enough, I think, but you have a positive thing in the sense that you speak with lot of clarity. Maybe the pace is a bit slow. Gradually, you can learn to enhance your pace, as also modulate your voice more effectively.
Okay.
So, and slightly, you appear very grim-faced also.
Yes.
So, try to be more, maintain a pleasant disposition on your face when you speak. ऐसा ना लगे कोई बहुत मजबूरी में कोई काम कर रहे हैं. That kind of impression we should not.
Yes.
So otherwise, yes, you have done a good job. I think the examples also which you shared in the initial stage, the examples of persuasion, that was a good technique.
Thank you, sir.
I would say, in fact, I would recommend it to others also. If you can pick out examples from your own immediate local context.
Yes, sir.
Like, for example, I am trying to persuade you with the idea. Now, that's a very relevant and common example. An example which is very
Yes,
closer to home. So, Osama did demonstrate this ability.
thank you,
Now,
sir.
what about
I saw the
your
time and
voice is not very audible? Please speak closer to the speaker. Yes, Waris.
I'm audible.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So actually, I fumbled in the at the last because I saw the time and I was running out of time. So actually, I tried to finish up in the early. And as Osama said, because of the lack of
Again, Waris, pata nahi, your voice is not reaching me very loud and clear.
oh, so let me just try it again. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So actually, I fumbled at the last because I saw the time and I was running out of time. So I tried to finish up very at a fast pace. Second, there was lack of coordination as the Osama because we had little less practice, and I was told that the slides were a little dark in the color. The color of the slide was little dark in the slides, and there was lack of examples which I could perform, which I could tell because of the limitation of the time. And I think it's all. And there was little pronunciation mistakes. I did.
I think one of the importance of communication is clarity. And Waris, I would strongly suggest that you may tape record your conversation and listen to it. The pacing of your talk creates some problem in terms of clarity. So when you speak, all your words do not come out clearly. And one of the reasons could be because you are slightly fast-paced in delivery. So my suggestion to you would be speak in a more relaxed tone, focusing on each and every word that you utter. So if you are going to say 5 words in a particular sentence, what happens is in your case 4 words are pronounced correctly and the 5th one you slip through. So because of that, the clarity is compromised. So just tape record your conversation, look at your pace, look at the speed at which you are delivering the speech. Are you clearly speaking are you uttering each and every word clearly in the sentence? So maybe I'm not able to pinpoint specifically, was it because of the technical glitch? Maybe because of the camera or mic or whatever. But I think it has something to do with your style of speaking.
Actually, yes, sir. I was told about it too.
Pardon?
My friend told me about that. I speak a little bit fast. When I'm nervous, I try to speak a little bit fast.
So focus on clarity. Clarity is an important C. In fact, somebody can write it on the chat box. We will be discussing we'll be giving feedback in terms of various C's of effective communication. And one of the C is clarity. And our voice modulations, our pace, they impact the clarity of delivery. Otherwise, in terms of content, you presented the ideas quite effectively and you were energetic, you were into it, which is a positive thing. So retain those things and just reflect better on this aspect which we have highlighted. Now coming to Lavnish, what do you think?
Sir, I think I could have done much better. I could have used some more examples to elaborate the concepts.
So you feel you could enrich it with one more examples. Okay, what else?
And make I felt only that the examples were somewhere lacking. Some examples from the real world, like just like you said, like some practical examples so that the students can correlate easily.
So this is the feedback which I have shared yesterday also. Remain is true to the idea. Naturally, you cannot deviate from the main idea.
Yes, sir.
Of the article, because the idea is a weighty idea. That is why it found a place in HBR. But you can always show your creativity in searching the right kind of examples.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes.
And examples which are closer to your context.
Yes.
Those examples would be good examples.
Yes, sir.
Then I think in your case also, you need to speak more clearly.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes clarity is compromised in your case also.
Yes, okay.
Again, this also could be because of the pace. Slightly fast paced.
Okay.
But your hand gestures were very effective. They were supplementing your oral communication. So that's a very good characteristic that you demonstrated. And I would wish that others may also take note of it, because non-verbal gestures, they enhance our oral communication. So you did that part good.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question regarding your PPTs. Can you run the PPT again?
Shiraz, can you please run it?
Yeah, just a second. Is it online?
Yes.
Move on to the next. Do you think it is the right size?
Sorry, sir.
The size of the alphabets. Can we use slightly bigger fonts?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Because you have a lot of space.
Yes, sir.
We should have, I appreciate the point that we should have blank space also on the PPT, because that enhances the readability of the text. But here the proportion is a bit, disproportionate. You had a lot of space, but even then you have used rather small fonts, maybe 12.
Yes, sir.
So we should use at least 14 or 16 font size if you are using Times Roman. Arial, even 12, 14 would do, but Times Roman you have to be at least 16 or 18. Now, one more thing which I feel, can you move on to the next slide? Personally, to me, the 6 principles which you have highlighted, this is the ideal slide. Because the beauty of PowerPoint is the visual impact that you are able to create. Isn't it? But if you move on to the previous slide again.
This one, sir.
Do you think this running text is okay for PPT? You could have it in the form of points.
Yes, sir.
My simple thumb rule for this is 5 by 5. What does that mean? 5 points in a slide, but not more than 5 words in a point.
Okay.
Because you are there to explain the idea. So there is no need for you to write down everything. For example, a lucky few have it, most of us don't. I would simply write persuasion is a gift. In fact, I would not write even persuasion because the heading is already there. I would simply write the point as a gift. And then you can explain if only few of us are gifted on this account. That's all. Can you move on to the next slide? How can we structure this better in terms of points? Do you think it is really needed? No leader can succeed without mastering the art of persuasion. You can simply say yes, point in terms of points, an important quality of a leader. So
Yes, sir.
visualize, see what happens is why I'm making this point. The reason is, PowerPoint is a support. It is not a distraction. So if audience, they start reading it rather than listening to you, it becomes a distraction.
Yes, sir.
So you should not let the PowerPoint become a distraction.
Okay, sir.
And that is possible only when we have points.
Yes, sir.
And that too not very longish points. Just maybe just for 5 words would do in a point. Can you run through a few more slides? This is a good slide. But yes, this is a good slide. But again, the proportion is a bit disproportionate. So if these are 3 points, can you go back to the previous?
Yes, sir.
The application, uncover similarities and offer genuine. Now this point again, the alphabet got superimposed by the visual.
Yes, sir.
Liking can be increased by finding. So ideally, I would have shown these 3 points through a bullet, and because similarities and praising are sub points, I would have used a different bullet type, maybe an arrow, for example. So think through every slide. What is the point? What is the sub point? And use your bullets appropriately. Next slide. Come to the last slide. Yes. Come to the last slide. No, just prior to that. Before thank you. What do you think? Is it a good thing?
So too much text.
Too much text.
Yes, sir.
Your job is not to put everything which is there in the article in the PPT. Your job is to distill the point yourself and put it in your own words. 4 is that thumb rule which I have shared, 5 by 5. Okay, Shiraz, what do you say about your performance?
Sir, I think from the start, I thought we lacked some cohesion. We did practice yesterday and day before that, but I think practicing more wouldn't hurt us. So that was some problem. And I think there was some problem in my presentation going offline for about a couple of seconds, about a couple of times for about a couple of seconds.
One point you said about rehearsals. You feel you could have rehearsed it more?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
And what was your second point that I missed?
Sir, I thought my presentation was gotten offline a couple of times, so that hindered our presentation as well.
I think you can now close this PPT.
Yes.
Chirag, you have your share of strengths. One, you speak with lot of clarity. So you, Alhamdulillah, you are blessed with good diction. And when you speak with clarity. And Varis and Lavnish, you may take a special note of it. You seem to have a good command over language. So you are using language very effortlessly and very naturally. That is your core strength. So your pace is also very good. You are just right paced, not speaking very fast, not speaking very slowly. So that is one of your strengths. Except for this part which I have highlighted, sometimes what was happening because your PowerPoint, the oral presentation should be supported by the PPT. So be very sure about the content that you want to put on the. It's a good servant. PPT is a good servant. We should not let it become our master. We are the master of ceremony. So especially the conclusion slide, I think, created a distraction.
Yes.
So otherwise, I think I was impressed by your performance. I was impressed by your overall the grasp of the topic. You did grasp the idea very well, and then you presented it with involvement, with passion, with clarity. So these are the four strengths of a good speaker, and you already have it. Naturally, the more you prepare, the better you would become. So as they say about presentations, the ultimate is practice, practice, and practice. Yes. And practice, practice, and practice. So each delivery helps us reflect better as to what we can do extra. So you are at a stage where you can educate yourself by reflecting on your performance. And then round off the rough edges, which all of us have, and become more polished in the process. So well done, all four of you. I enjoyed the presentations. And now I request you, any feedback or any observations from the class? Subia has written that she has mailed me. Yes, I have read it, and it's a good summary which you have written. Maybe her mic is not working, so she's not able to speak. But I was referring to your friends who were there, Rahul and Faizan. I have not received their summary of the content of that. So you can request Rahul as also Faizan that they may share the content of the article. So, any other observation or comment from the participant? If there are no comments, we call it a day. Thank you very much.